Welcome to this presentation, which will shed light on the treatment of homosexuals under the Nazi regime from 1933 to 1945. During the Weimar Republic, gay culture flourished in cities such as Prussia and Berlin. There were gay establishments such as bars and clubs. During the Nazi regime, however, the Gestapo compiled lists of homosexuals and shut down these establishments while forcing homosexuals to wear a pink triangle for identification purposes, not unlike how Jews were ordered to wear a badge for identification starting in 1941. Between 1933 and 1945, 100,000 men were arrested for charges of homosexuality. 50,000 were officially sentenced. SS leader Heinrich Himmler estimated that 1 to 2 million homosexual men in Germany, 7 to 10% of German men, existed at the time. There were a variety of events leading up to the Nazi regime's persecution of homosexuals. In 1871, paragraph 175 of the new Penal Code of Germany was passed, which persecuted homosexuals by including the clause an unnatural sex act committed between persons of male sex or by humans with animals is punishable by imprisonment. The loss of civil rights might also be imposed. In the 1920s, gay culture flourished in Prussia and Berlin, and many homosexuals were out of the closet. In 1933, German gay culture suddenly went underground due to rising pressure from conservative forces. The first concentration camps were created during this time. Also in 1933, Adolf Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Prussia. In 1933, the Nazi Party shut down homosexual clubs and bars and burned forbidden literature at the Institute of Sex Research, many of which contained references to homosexuality. Between 1933 to 1945, nearly 78,000 men were arrested for violating paragraph 175 of the Penal Code. Over 5,000 to 15,000 homosexuals were sent to concentration camps, in which they were experimented on, beaten, and tortured sexually. In 1934, the Gestapo were instructed to compile lists of homosexuals. In 1935, paragraph 175 of the German Penal Code was revised to expand the category of criminally indecent activities between men to include any act that could be construed as homosexual. Even intent or thought sufficed. In 1937, SS leader Heinrich Himmler gave a speech on homosexuality in Bad Tolz, condemning its widespread nature. In 2002, the German government formally apologized to the gay community. As Hitler began creating his master race, he isolated peoples of imperfection, including homosexuals. According to the Nazi regime, being gay was a contagious disease which would weaken the Aryan race. In Weimar Germany, homosexuality was illegal, but activism caused general acceptance of homosexuality. This gave conservatives the impression that their strict German values were breaking. Generally, male homosexuals were targeted more than female homosexuals were. The Nazis also made gay men wear a pink triangle. In Weimar Germany, paragraph 175 of the Criminal Code said that male homosexuality was illegal in Germany. An unnatural sex act committed between persons of male sex or by humans with animals is punishable by imprisonment. The loss of civil rights might also be imposed. On June 28, 1935, the Ministry of Justice revised paragraph 175 to say that the Nazi military could take action against any homosexuals, and even intent or thought sufficed. Homosexuals were sent to concentration camps, which were dispersed throughout Germany and Poland. They held persecuted peoples such as gypsies, mentally ill people, homosexuals, Jews, and the disabled. Homosexuals suffered unusually cruel punishment in prisons and concentration camps. Many gay men were beaten to death and experimented on, including having incisions made in their groin and testosterone injected to see if it would make the prisoners heterosexual. Prisoners were also molested and their orientation mocked. One homosexual survivor of the Holocaust said, "Then came the thunderbolt of the 30th of January 1933, and we knew that a change of political climate had taken place. What we had tried to prevent had taken place. Over the years, more and more of my political friends disappeared, of my Jewish and of my homosexual friends. Fear came over us with the increasingly coordinated pressure of the Nazis. For heaven's sake not to attract attention, to exercise restraint." 1933 was the starting point for the persecution of homosexuals. Already in this year we heard of raids on homosexual pubs and meeting places. Immediately after the Nazi regime, homosexuals were not recognized as victims of the Holocaust. They were denied reparations and state pensions, and were classified as criminals and sex offenders. Paragraph 175 remained until 1969, since it was viewed as a healthy law. In the 1980s, governments began to acknowledge discrimination against homosexuals under the Nazi regime. In 2002, the German government officially apologized to the homosexual community.